Well, after 4 days of sitting here at Point Pleasant, I gotta say, it wasn't very pleasant. Winds were pretty strong for the 3 days. Winds were up to 30-mile gusts and averaging about 20 miles per hour. So wakes were pretty high. The wind was blowing everywhere. It was rough. I spent 2 days on an anchor and then 2 days in a marina. And then now we're heading out to New York. That boat in front of you, that you see in front of me, is actually another couple that's doing the Great Loop. And I think they're not going to complete it. I think they said something about they're just going to Albany, New York, pull the boat out of the water, and they're going to fly home for a few months and then come back and finish the trip. So I guess they have some stuff they have to do at home or something. But so they're not going to, we're not going to stick with each other very long. The only reason we're sticking together now is because we just want to make sure when we cross over the Atlantic. Right now, everything seems to be pretty smooth, and the wind is very, very light, so I don't think we're going to have any problems when we get out in the Atlantic. Sometimes the Atlantic can be much better than being inside the intercoastal, because you don't have, a lot of wave action, a lot of wind, and a lot of times it's smooth as glass. But we're going to find out. Here we are leaving now, so we'll be heading out to the inlet, which goes the inlet or the outlet, whichever way you want to look at it, the outlet, where it goes out into the Atlantic Ocean. And we'll find out whether we can handle it or not, but it's not very far. It's only like a 22-mile run, so it's a very short run. We actually will start turning in toward the Hudson River at Sandy Hook, and once we turn into Sandy Hook, there'll be, of course, the bridge that we go in through, which is the mouth of the Hudson River. Once you're in the underneath that bridge, you're actually in the mouth now of the Hudson River. And then you can see the skyline from there of New York City. And we should be able to also catch a couple glimpses of the Liberty statue as we're coming in. But like I said, it's not a long trip. If everything runs okay, I say we'll be done in about 2.5 hours, 3 hours at the most. Here's the outlet now. You can see past those two little pieces of land there on the right and left hand side. As soon as you go past that, now we're going to be out in the Atlantic Ocean. And so far it still seems to be doing pretty nice. It looks good out there. The tides and the waves coming into the inlet are not bad at all. They're actually pretty smooth. Right now I'm bouncing a lot, but that's because I'm following this boat behind. First chance I get, I'm get out of their wake, so that I won't be having to bounce around all day long following them. And I had a gentleman tell me that he says he makes that run from here to New York all the time. And if you just go out and stay about 1/4 of a mile along the beach, he says it's plenty of deep water. There's no obstacles out there, and you should be able to make it faster because you're not going out as far. Some sailboaters, when they go out, they actually go out at least a minimum of 5 miles. Some go out even 10 miles, depending. They want to make sure that they don't hit bottom. But we because we draw so little water, we can actually stay closer. Now, I don't know if a couple of in front of me are going to stay close to it, but I'm going to stay about a quarter of a mile off the beach and just follow the land. It's a straight shot, so you even can't get lost. You just follow the beach line all the way up until you hit Sandy Hook. At Sandy Hook, you'll see the bridge, and then now you know to turn into the bridge, toward the bridge, and that's bringing you into the mouth of the Hudson River. And as you can see, here we are almost on the Atlantic, and it's still pretty nice. I don't see any waves. The wind is not blowing, and it is early, and a lot of times early is better because during the day, as the day goes by, the weather starts picking up. The wind starts blowing a little bit more. Your wakes, as the tide comes up or comes down, it starts getting a little bit worse. But when you normally take off in the mornings, it's normally pretty smooth and pretty quiet. Here we are getting ready to go ahead and take off. We've been kind of a little bit over idling speed, just trying to see what the Atlantic was going to look like, and it's very smooth. It looks like glass, to be honest with you. I'm still bouncing around because I'm still behind this boat here, but I'm going to be pulling over his wake here shortly and get away from him so that I won't have to be fighting his wake all the way up into New York. And it's going to be it looks like it's going to be a pretty nice run. It's not going to take very long, mainly because we're not going to have to worry about the winds or the tides or the currents or anything. And we did agree to go ahead and speed up a little bit more. So instead of doing, my average 12 miles an hour, we're going to rev it up to about 15 or 16 miles an hour, just in case the weather should start picking up. But so far, it looks very, very nice. I'm still in this guy's boat wake. He's starting to head out further and further out into open water. I'm going to cut his wake here shortly, and I'm going to start following the coastline because, like I said, I'm not going out but a quarter of a mile. This guy probably is going to, if he wants to follow the intercoastal or go in deep water like sailboats normally do. A lot of people do that because they want to guarantee that there is no way they're going to hit bottom or something like that. But I draw 18 inches. I really don't have to worry about whether I hit bottom or not. If I hit bottom, I just jump out of the boat, push the boat out of the sandbar, and jump back in and keep going. This boat up here, now it's a 30-foot cutwater. They're called cutwaters. And it's a 30-footer. That one will draw a little bit more than what I do. He probably draws at least about 2.5 feet, maybe even 3 feet. And of course, his boat that he's got there is fairly new, and we're talking about a $70,000-$80,000 boat here. So maybe even more, in the hundreds. And most boaters with that kind of boat are not going to risk running it aground. So he'll probably go out a little bit further than he needs to, and that's fine. I mean, the only thing, as long as we both can stay in contact with each other and we can see each other, if one of us has a problem, then one of us can get to the other one and see what's going on. And we're in contact with the VHF radio also. And he has my cell phone number and I have his cell phone number, so we can even call each other if need be. He's still heading outward, and I've kind of already cut across, and I'm following the shoreline now. So, but he's still heading out, so who knows? He might go out quite a ways. But as long as I can still see him, I'll be okay because I can see him, and if he gets in trouble or something, I can go to him, or I can always call him if I get in trouble. As long as we stay in touch with each other, or I have eye contact with him, it's no big deal. I told him I would follow him. That way, I keep him in front of me all the time in case something goes wrong. And if I have to, I can call him and let him know, hey, I'm having trouble or something. He'll just turn around and come back. But if it's something serious when you're out here, normally you just call CTO and they come out and pick you up. And that's the other thing about CTO is that they'll only go out about 3 miles into the open water to get you if something goes wrong and comes back. So if you're out, and I'm not sure if it's 3 miles or 5 miles, but I know it's one of those. So if you go past that point and something goes wrong with your engine and you need help, CTO's not going to go get you unless you're willing to pay them for it, and it's going to be expensive for them to go pick you up. And we're talking literally, it could be $2,000 for them to pick you, to go get you and bring you back in. And it's not, that they're trying to scam you out of the money. It's that fuel costs are pretty expensive right now, so it goes up pretty much. Their 1 mile per rate has gone extremely high because of the fuel costs that they're going through. And it's the same thing with us. My budget went way out the window from the second week that I left Tampa because of that reason. The fuel price is killing me. It's killing us. It's killing everybody that's making on the trip. I didn't realize it was going to be that bad, and I was kind of thinking, well, if I don't get it done this year, I'd already missed a couple of years of not doing it for one reason or another. Last year, when I attempted to do it, there was a problem getting into marinas because of the COVID-19 virus. Some marinas were not accepting transit boats coming in and out of the marina. If you had your boat there at the marina, you could come in and out, and you could also get fuel there. But if you were not part of the marina and you just passing by and you wanted to stop for gas, they would not let you in, and they would not let you pick up gas anyway. So it doesn't matter if they let you in or not. If they're not going to give you the gas, then don't even bother to go. So so a lot of marinas were, because of the COVID-19, were just doing that. They weren't allowing transit boaters to come in and out. Here we are. As you can see, the Atlantic was pretty nice. Now this is actually, once you get underneath the bridge here, that's actually the mouth of the Hudson River, and it's actually getting a little bit rougher as we're getting closer into the mouth, and that's because all the water is challenging, or is changing all into that little area there, trying to get in there. So there's a lot of water trying to get in there. So what happens is the currents pick up real fast, and the wave action picks up, and it could get pretty nasty. Now this is pretty wide, so it gets a little rough, but it's not going to get to the point like some inlets are terrible. Like Miami has one that's called Hanover Inlet, and if you've ever seen boats getting in and out of there, you'd understand what I'm talking about. But as you can see, the other guys are right in front of me now. They started coming in after they went out quite a ways, a lot further than I thought they were going to go. If I had to guess, they probably went out 6, 7, 8 miles out into the Atlantic, where I stayed half a mile from the coast the whole time. So I kind of had to slow down and wait for them to show up. Once they got closer, I went ahead and took off again and speeded up. And as you can see, they're right in front of me now. So, yeah, like I said, once you get into underneath this bridge here, we're going to be in Hudson, the Hudson River, home of New York City. And here it is. Here's the skyline of New York City. And you can toward the left, if you look, you can see the Statue of Liberty. It's kind of like a green color. You can see it there on the left. So by the looks of it, it looks like we made it to New York. So far, everything's going pretty smooth. Now it's getting a little bit choppier now, and also there's a lot of boats out here. There's a lot of freighters out here, freight cargo boats that are out here, and I think anytime you have that, plus New York has a lot of boats that run back and forth all over New York to Manhattan, to Hudson, to Ellis Island, to all these other places. So they even have I guess the Staten Island ferry, which carries not only people but boats. I mean, their vehicles and everything, and it carries them across, so that you don't have to go all the way out to get on the bridge. You can just get on this little ferry, and it takes you right across the Hudson River into Staten Island. Yes, they call it the Staten Island ferry, and they're painted bright orange, so they're hard to miss as you see them come by, and they're constantly coming by. Every few minutes you see one coming, one is coming, the other one's going, one is coming, the other one's going, and it's like that all day long. So as we got closer to New York, the wave action started picking up quite a bit more. You can actually see the Statue of Liberty better now. You can see it there on the left-hand side. It's kind of like a green color patina, mainly because it's made out of brass, and brass has that patina when it starts changing. After a while, it starts changing to that kind of green color. She looks pretty good from here, and I did take some photo stills of her while we were tied up, or well, not tied up, but in front of her. You're not allowed to get too close to it. There's some buoys out there that you got to stay on the outside of those buoys because they don't allow you to get, I guess, too close to the Statue of Liberty. I guess just in case. But here's some of the photos that I took of the Statue of Liberty while we were moving along, and I took some stills because I wanted some of the stills to hold on to them. I went ahead and took a picture of the other guy's boat, and then he did the same, and you can see my little boat there. Now, we had already been told that there was a place called Liberty Park, and Liberty Park is literally right behind the Statue of Liberty, and it's a very nice, huge park back there. But it also, and we were told that it also makes a good anchoring area. A lot of boats go back there, and they anchor off for the night whatsoever. So that's what we did. We went ahead and took off and decided to go find this little place back here. And once we were back here, winds were still blowing pretty good, but the water was a lot calmer now, and we were just trying to find out. There was a bunch of boats to our right, sailboats, and these guys here that were in front of me, they decided they were going to anchor off somewhere over there. As I was coming in, I saw what I thought was a dock, and I thought, you know what, I'm going to go check out this dock and see what it's all about. I did go in, and I did tie up to the dock. They had one of those portable johns, so I got off, went to the bathroom there, and kind of walked around, see if there was anything like restaurants or shops or anything. It was an area that was not the best in the world. The park was real nice, and that's part of Liberty Park. I tied up and thought about it, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just stay here instead of dropping anchor somewhere. I'll just stay tied up here. There was nothing posted as far as saying that you could stay overnight. So I decided, well, I'm going to go ahead and tie up. I did tie up, like I said, and I walked around for a little while. And then some guys came up from one of the sailboats, and they told me a story about how the police had confiscated their oars when they were there at the when they were tied up at the dock, and they walked to go see some friends. So it turns out that the cops confiscated their oars, so they couldn't oar or they couldn't paddle back to their sailboat. So they had to go pay a fine to get the oars back. And I thought, man, you're from out of town and you're here visiting and you're trying to enjoy this place, and then they come along and do something like this. And I understand if they had posted on there, hey, no docking except for, boats on trailers coming in, because it's a boat ramp is basically what it is. People put their boat in and then they tie up there while they're putting their trailer and truck away. And then they come back, jump on their boat and go. Here's a little interesting little thing with this little bird. He actually has a snake that he caught. You can see he's fighting with the snake. And what he's trying to do is he's actually trying to swallow the snake. And you can see here he's going to swallow it in just a second. He swallows it complete. And there he goes. Done. Now he's looking around, okay, making sure nobody saw him swallow that whole snake. But, and of course, the old adage saying, don't forget, put all your ducks in a row before you go do something. So there you go. They're all lined up. We did have some duck for dinner this evening with a little lima beans and a little Chianti on the side. Pretty good. Anyway, no, we didn't. We didn't have no duck. But this was a very quiet area. I tied up more into a shallow area because I like shallow ground, because that way I figure, hey, no big boats are going to come by and run me over, even if they see me or don't see me. Here, they'll run aground first before they can hit me. And you can see I'm not very far off the shoreline, so I stay as close as I can to the shoreline. And even if even if the tide drops 2-3 feet, I'm still okay. Now here's a shot. Kind of made a video of the whole. Took a shot of everything around it. After I dropped anchor, so you could kind of see
the other guy
where we dropped anchor for the night. As you can see, it's pretty quiet, and
so far the winds
as long as there's businesses and stuff like that, and you're not out, there's hardly any you really don't have to worry about it.
We decided
it stays pretty much quiet.
Just spend the night here.
It's a beautiful place.
The other couple
found
around 2 or 3 different times.
It's actually called
Liberty Park, where they were at.
And it's a huge park.
Also, the state police told them
they were coming by. There were tons of people at the park and stuff. But anyway, and this happens to be like a little.
Here we are getting ready to go out now.
Well, here's the next morning, and getting ready to go ahead and
the other couple already left. They probably left about 10-15 minutes ago.
Our next stop,
our
next major stop was going to be probably Albany.
Plans to stay
We're probably about 2 days away from Albany.
Instead of anchoring
to Albany in one day, because it's quite a distance.
Like I said, they're getting ready to have the boat pulled, and then they're going to fly back over
110 miles. I'm not sure
they're going to come back.
Here I am, go ahead and leaving back out. You can see Lady Liberty there to the left. I got caught behind a sailboat here, and they travel pretty slow, so I had to slow down. And the waves were pushing, or the wind was pushing the boat toward the rocks to the left there. So it's kind of hard because you have to be revving it up every so often. So I was going to try and get away from this boat here as soon as I could pass them. But as you can see, the green and red channel markers, it's not a very wide channel. So you need to stay in the channel if you don't want to run aground, especially in an area like this, because this is not sand bottom. This has rocks. If you hit bottom, you're going to hit a rock, not sand. Unlike in Florida, most of the time when you run aground, you're going to run aground in sand. Could cause some damage, but not very serious damage anyway. I've run aground in sandbars a couple of times already. So, but as you can see, the first shot I get, I'm going to go ahead and pass this guy. And the channel opens up after these 2 buoys here. Oh, it opened up pretty good. So I went ahead and started to pass him, and figured I need to get out of his way so that I can kind of make sure I keep control of the boat. The faster you go, the better control you have on the boat. And if it starts kind of pushing over toward the rock, then you can at least fall away. There I went ahead and passed the guy, and now I'm going right by Liberty the Statue of Liberty. So I decided, to make one more turn and get a picture of her, or get a little video of her as I'm leaving New York. And it's the old saying, when it's New York, if I can make it here, I can make it anywhere. It's just, New York. For those who got that, a simple little thumbs up will let me know that you got it. You understood what I was talking about. For those of you that didn't get it, if you're kind of young, find some old friends, about 5 of them, and ask one of them. One of them will probably tell you what that little skit was all about. And if they don't tell you, then you need to get new friends. I mean, it's something that everyone should know. Even I know, even some young kids. I know my daughter knows it. So anyway, let's move on. Here we are going past the last channel markers that's behind the Statue of Liberty here. And you can see part of the skyline from New York back here also. And you'll see a little bit of it. There's really no place to tie up and let's say where you can walk around and everything. And it's so busy. This harbor is so busy, it's unbelievable. Boats coming in and out. You got a boat coming into Ellis Island or to the Statue of Liberty, and then you got another boat going out to pick up more people to bring back and forth, and they travel all day long. Same thing with the Staten Island ferry. That thing, it's probably somewhere in the rough runs of maybe 8 or 9 boats, and they're constantly moving, going back and forth from Staten Island to New York. So it's kind of, I can see why it's pretty rough all the time. Even when the seas are good and the winds are good, it's still rough because the wakes these boats make all day long cause all kinds of problems. And there was really, like I said, no place to really tie up and be able to walk around or go anywhere and say, let's go see New York. So we decided to go ahead I decided to go ahead and push on and move on. And like I said, this is more about the trip, about making the Great Loop to me personally. There's some things I might want to see. I mean, the Statue of Liberty. Statue of Liberty was one of the things, and I saw it. I got to see it and got pretty close to it. And that was one of my kind of to-do list on my Great Loop. Next one is Albany. Like I said, we're shooting now for Albany, which is the capital of New York. We're going to be, like I said, we're not going to be able to do it in one day. It's too far to travel. So I've kind of calculated where the halfway point is and decided, okay, I'm going to get to that area, find me a place to either stay at a marina or tie up or drop anchor again, depending on what's available. If I can find a good price marina, I'll prefer to stay there. I can tie up. Average, what my cost is, $2 per foot. So a 22-footer basically cost me $44 to stay overnight somewhere in a marina tied up at a dock. Some marinas charge up to $3.25. So it all depends. If I find a marina that's got a good price, because basically all you're doing is tying up to the dock and you're falling asleep. You're waking up in the morning, you're untying the boat and you're taking off. So really, the difference between that and dropping anchor is that you're saving the $44 that you would pay, by dropping anchor somewhere. The marinas do have showers, and they have toilet showers, and they have water, they have electric. So I really don't need the electric part because I can run my inverter and it'll run my microwave, it'll run my coffee maker. So I really don't need to have power other places, that I was looking at also is that sometimes I find a state park or something that has docks, and I just tie up there, and that's not bad either. That's pretty good. Also, state parks, sometimes they stay on there. You can't stay overnight. Some state parks have pretty nice bathrooms. I know the ones in Florida are real nice. Some of the ones up here, they're kind of questionable on whether they're actually docks and whether they're actually, state. I've seen a lot of state parks around here that really don't even have bathrooms. What they have is they have those portable toilets, the plastic ones, that the construction people use, and that's about it. But anyway, here we are taking one more look at Manhattan. This is part of Manhattan here, so it's going to be Manhattan, New York, and as we're leaving, this will be the end of this part, and on to Albany, and hopefully, in 2 days we should be there in Albany. After that, after we get to Albany, then we can start into the Erie Canal, start going through the channels and the locks and all of that. That's going to be pretty interesting. I've heard, some stories about, there's a reference of 54 locks that I'm going to have to go through by going through the Erie Canal, and that's a lot of locks, but they say, because the elevation is so high that you have to go from one lock to another lock, and then every time you do, it goes up 15 feet or so. But anyway, this is the end of New York right here. So hope you enjoyed it, and we'll wait for the next one.